Hey friends, it's Michael Kostroff. There and crossing the screen here is Cleo. Behind her in the corner is Neffy, the two cats that live in the place where I'm staying. They're here to help me speak to you this week and calm you down. Um, I am here to relieve you of a particular obsession that we can let go as actors when we are in conversation or interview with an agent or a casting director and they ask us questions. And that is the concern and the anxiety over being 100% accurate. It's not a test. Um, the example that I always give in my audition classes is, if they say, "So, Michael, you're from New York?" The accurate answer is, well, yes, originally, but then we lived in Florida for 4 years, and then I've been back and forth between LA a couple of times. There were 2 months that we lived in Selma, Alabama. It's not an interesting story. I've lost them. So now, when people say, "So, Michael, you're from New York?" I go, "Yeah, born and raised." Simple, simple answer. You know, um, people never remember that I have a long distance marriage and my wife lives in Idaho. They always say, "So your wife is in Kansas, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just don't need to correct them. I don't need to correct them. It doesn't matter. They're never going to check where Jenny lives." Um, People never remember. Even my own friends are like, "So it's Iowa, right?" I'm like, "Sure." Um, or if a casting director says, I think the last time I saw you, you were doing Cats." Let's say that the casting director has seen you since then in Brigadoon. You don't have to correct them. Actually, it was Brigadoon. Doesn't matter. Those corrections actually can land negatively because you're saying, no, you're wrong. Um, we obsess, particularly over the question, what have you been up to? You know, as if we have to provide credits. We don't. What have you really been up to? I've been reading a really cool book called "I See You've Called In Dead." It's a funny book that my wife gave me, and that's what I would tell people if they ask what I've been up to. I've been reading this great book by John Kenny. Um, I've been catching up with friends in New York City. I've been uh, whatever. It doesn't have to be, oh, I was in this, I was in that, or I was up for this. It doesn't have to be that. We get very, very, very freaked out, especially by what have you been up to. But um, but we can simplify and streamline our answers. And the reason that I'm giving that this became this week's topic is that I botched this. I was recently at a commercial audition, and the director, in an attempt to be funny, it's going to shoot in yeah, it'll come to me in a second. Not Vancouver, the other one, Toronto. Thank you, whoever yelled that out. It's going to shoot in Toronto, and he said, "Okay, first question: How many of you, since it shoots in Toronto, are planning on not coming back?" He was trying to be funny and entertaining, and that's what he wanted. And I piped in with, "Actually, I've applied for permanent residence in Canada." Uh, Extra information nobody needed, and actually prompts more questions than anything else. Um, and sort of stole the spotlight a little bit. You know, didn't need to know. Too much information. You know what would have been better? Oh, that's tempting. Give him the joke. Give him the moment. Um, I think you understand where I'm going. Just nod if you do. Um, just that we first of all, the content of our answers is not on trial here. It's not what people are looking at. It's not a test. Usually it's just to break the ice or get to know you or, you know, like, what you'd say on a blind date or, or when meeting a cast member. More like this, more like when you meet a cast member for the first time. It's your first day of rehearsal. It's like, "Oh, so where are you from?" "Oh, New York." You know, it's nice, simple, pleasant answers. They don't have to be complete. They don't have to be thorough. They don't have to be nuanced. Just keep the conversation flowing easily and nicely, and and don't be so weird about it. I guess is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I think you do. I think you do. Not if you do. Um, yeah, I like it when you get to learn from my my screw ups. Um, I'm not saying that's why I didn't get the commercial. I don't believe in that. I believe they picked the people that they wanted for the commercial, and it wasn't me. And it usually that's just the numbers. But I realized afterwards that I added in details that just sort of pulled us all off track, and it wasn't necessary. Um, yeah, I'm going to just say this one more time because this really does trip us up. When someone says, "What have you been up to lately?" you do not have to answer with a professional credit or an audition or anything. I have really weaned myself off of that because the conversations are always the same. Just got an agent, need an agent. Just finished a show, just starting a show. No, nothing. No, it's dead out there. They're just not interesting conversations anymore. So, you know, I want to answer what have you been up to lately with I've been catching up on a TV show. I can't believe I never finished this the first time around. I went back and I'm making this up, and I'm watching Better Call Saul for the first time. It's so good, or I'm reading this book, or I caught up. This actually is true. I caught up with my roommate from 1985. That's a great story. And that's what I've been up to lately. All right, I've talked enough. I always repeat myself in these things, but I think that's a good way of driving home a point, don't you? As I tell you not to talk too much. All right, friends, I'll be back next week and we'll talk about some other things. All right.